Gentlemen, welcome back to the Tiege Hanley Starting a Business, Building a Brand vlog. This one, big number 366. So before I get started, little public service announcement. If you have a business question, anything, it can be anything, or my opinion, or anything you've thought about, or hey, I'm thinking about starting a business. Do you think it's a horrible idea if I do it? Like whatever, it doesn't even matter, because I've got some experience that I'd like to share, or at least an opinion that I'd be more than happy to give. I want to give it because that's what this vlog is all about. It's about helping you guys basically avoid speed bumps or roadblocks that we have faced in our entrepreneurial journey. It started out where we were just talking about Tiege Hanley, and basically the whole way it got started was me going to Rob and Kelly and being like, yo, what would you think about giving the boys, some of the guys, some insights on what we're facing and dealing with as we've built Tiege Hanley? And they were like, nah, probably not. I'm kidding. They said, okay, let's see where it goes. And that was one of the best decisions we ever did, because not only have we done it now for 366 weeks in a row, it also has allowed us to invite you into our journey. And we want to be part of yours. And the way that we want to do that is by giving back. So if you have a business related, you've already heard all that, down below, start it with business question and ask it. Next week, we'll try to get to more of them, or a lot of them, because hopefully there are a ton of them, because I need it, because next week actually is going to be a holiday. So I need your questions earlier, sooner rather than later. Down below, ask it. All right, so before I talk a little bit about this new business, I'm going to just tell you real quick, Tiege Hanley update. We haven't really updated you much because we've been like kind of head down, like working, figuring things out. But I am pleased to report that we are doing just some amazing things at Tiege Hanley. And it's so damn exciting to see, because usually like we, at the end of the year, like we'll see like a little dip. And last year, a year ago, we were facing some really hard times in terms of we were spending a lot and we needed to basically get our costs down. Well, we have not only gotten our costs down, we have now figured out a little bit in terms of ramping. We are now at a new high, honestly, in terms of our revenue. It continues to grow. We're just doing some amazing things. We just hit a benchmark in terms of the influencer conversion. So Josh and the team has been heading that up and just doing an incredible job. And that doesn't include me. Not that I've been like really super like effective, which is actually a good thing. Not that I'm not super effective, but what I'm talking about is early days, right? I was basically the main driver of Tiege Hanley. And so like 80% of the sales were coming from me for the first like 3 years. Well, over the years, we've been knowing like, okay, we've got to get it off of my back, because if we ever want to really grow this thing, it can't be me. I basically have a cap. Anyway, since then, we've been able to really take it to that next level, but it's really been in the past, like I would say, year and a half. The influencer game, we are super like doubling down on, and we've just done some really great things there. Something else we've been doing, Tom Robinson has been just crushing it in terms of the acquisitions, non-influencer. And so all the ads, all the funnels, all the everything. And it's not, and when I call out those two people, I just want to be clear. It is not just those two people. It's the team. And as a team at Tiege Hanley, we have never been stronger. We have never been working more cohesively and just creatively, and just everybody has like just really elevated their game. And so it's so exciting going into this or the next year, when the fact that we're up like this year, you know, we're up significantly over last year. We're up, I think it's right around like 20% in terms of our sales, in terms of our business, in terms of our revenue, which that is not an easy task, especially in this economy. And so one thing I'd like to do is just thank you for your continued support. And if you guys have not checked out Tiege Hanley, now is the opportune time, because we have a crap ton of incredible products that we have been developing, and we are continuing to develop more. Anyway, that's the Tiege Hanley update. I just had a handful of almonds, and I feel like I got like, hang on. Homebrew. I was running late, so I didn't go and stop at Starbucks. Anyway, a business that I alluded to a few weeks ago. So, as you guys know, we have the Salon, right? Or I have the Salon, all right? I've got two partners. I've got Tony Talercio and his wife, Courtney, who is the manager. You guys have met. And then we've got Steven. And so, Steven Posta. And so, we've always kind of known that we have an opportunity in terms of we've got these women, right? We've got all of these, you know, women that are, you know, not high-end women, but they are used to, you know, they're used to taking care of themselves. And women when it comes to their hair, you've got different levels in terms of like hair salons. You've got like, the great clips and the cheaper places, and then you've got like mid-tier hair salons, and then you've got places like us. We are not the least expensive game in town, and that's on purpose, right? We provide an incredible service, and we've got incredible staff and stylists that are super talented, and it's a more luxurious experience. And so we really go out of our way in order to make sure that we are, top of the top. And I would say in terms of revenue for hair salons across the country, we're probably in the top one. I know that we're in the top 1%. And we did that. We're about to celebrate our 2-year anniversary. I feel like I have almonds in my mouth. Anyway, I probably do. And so, we're doing really well. We have a limit though in terms of our space. We can't have other services, and that's one of the things that has been a problem for us. We can't do things like facials and Botox and lasers and fillers and things of that nature because we don't have the space, right? And those happen to be an incredibly lucrative and popular service that a lot of the same women that are coming in to get their hair done would or are getting done, right? They're going to these med spas to have, aesthetic stuff done on their face. And so we have always kind of been thinking all right, how do we grow this, right? Because in terms of a hair salon, you are kind of capped in terms of really scalability, right? You are only going to have the ability to have so many stylists. These stylists can only see so many people. They're only going to be able to sell them, there's a limit is what I'm trying to say. Unlike the internet, you really are getting customers from all over the world, and you can, really scale that a lot easier. And so brick and mortar is definitely different when you have a service business that is brick and mortar sort of restricted, okay? And so I think our salon right now, we have the ability to have 28 stylists, all right? But then we're kind of capped. So you have 28 stylists. They see, on average, 10 people a day per stylist. You've got 2 assistants. So you see, you're kind of capped. You can do well, but you're capped. You need additional or auxiliary services, very similar to what we were talking about last week with the Stubble Buddy. You can't be a one-trick pony, or else your pony is only going to be able to run so fast or build so big, or you're going to only be able to make so much money. And being entrepreneurs and capitalists, we want to make more, right? And that's one of the benchmarks and barometers of success. How can you scale? How can you grow? How can you grow your top line? Well, one of the things that we've been thinking about is, okay, would we be interested in opening a second salon? That would be a little bit more challenging because it can't be within our proximity or our, close demographic. Or I should say that, you get what I'm saying. We would end up cannibalizing our audience because when it comes to hair, women typically will drive pretty far, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, 50 minutes if they find a stylist or salon that they love. And so a lot of our client base are, total metro area. And so as opposed to just Marietta. And so what we're thinking is, what would we do? Would we open another salon? Well, that comes with a lot of headaches, right? A lot of, personnel issues, a lot of staffing, a lot of training, a lot of stuff, right? And if it's far away, it'd be really difficult for our management team to kind of handle that. And so the other idea was, all right, well, what if we gave these women additional services that they were actually looking for and asking for? Botox, lasers, fillers, stuff to make them pretty, right? Not surgery in terms of nose jobs or ear jobs, but kind of like med spa stuff, right? If you didn't know, that's kind of what a med spa does. It does facials, it does treatments, exfoliations, it does little services. The injectables, that's where a lot of money is made in terms of Botox, fillers, Restylane, things of that nature. And so we have been doing our research and due diligence to try and find out, okay, what does that actually entail? What is the startup cost? Because all of the lasers and different machines that they use in these places are really expensive. All right, what are the legalities? What are the liabilities? What does it mean in terms of staffing? What do we need? Do we need people that are certified in this? Do they need to be a doctor? What do we need? And so we've been really kind of doing the due diligence, and simultaneously we have been looking for locations, right? Because that's one of the hardest things right now is finding an actual location that we can open this place close to us, because that's the thing. We want to make sure that it's within a very close distance from the current salon, so so that the customers could just be like, yo, I'm getting my hair done, then yo, I'm headed over and getting my Botox or whatever it may be. For the past like 6 months, we've been starting to do our due diligence and try and figure out like, okay, what do we need? What do we need? How much money do we need? What type of staffing do we need? What type of license? What type of liability insurance do we need? Like, what are the costs associated with doing something like this? And also, what are the parameters? Because what we found out is that doing a med spa is very different than doing a day spa. A day spa can't do anything like, injectables or, I don't know about the lasers. It's more like facials and things that are less intrusive. But the upside to those is that you don't need an actual physician to be a partner or on staff. If you want to do a med spa and do the real high ticket price items, you definitely need a physician to be a part of things. And so that is something that we learned. We've learned a lot, but we feel good. We feel good to the point of looking for a location. And so in my current complex, where I currently am, in terms of my office, there was a building that came up for sale, one of the other commercial buildings. And I went in there, started looking around. They want way too much money for it. It was also need to be gutted, and so I would end up spending way too much money because I have expensive taste, and it's just not good enough. Parking also here isn't that great. So anyway, we passed on this, but then we've been looking, right? We've been looking everywhere within our area. Now, the one thing it needs to be is really cool, right? Because that's something that, kind of the salon customers and clientele have come to expect and experience a really cool environment. Now, we're not going to be able to duplicate the salon because it's this badass old church that was renovated, but it could be like a cool old house or another like industrial building. We're just on the lookout. But we've kind of put things on pause a little bit because last week, Stephen went down to Texas. As you guys may or may not know, Stephen has been basically managing cancer for the past, I think it's been 10 years. He's had cancer, different types of cancer, and it's been treated and kind of managed. He's had little flare-ups of this and that, but they've changed medications and everything's been kind of cool. Well, this past week, he went back and they found a spot on his lung. He has some little tiny tumors that a chemo pill has been keeping at bay, but they did find something that was a little bit concerning, and so he's going to have to go through chemo and some radiation starting next year. And so what we decided is, and he's going to have to take some time off from the salon. He'll still be coming in and doing things, but in terms of cutting people's hair and standing, he needs to focus on just getting better and dealing with this issue that he's dealing with. And so we decided that with that in mind, we're going to put our med spa vision and business on hold and just really focus on being supportive for him and being there for him during this kind of tough time. And really just, kind of getting the salon, situated because, without him working day to day, it is going to change the dynamics and we're going to have to figure a few things out. Now, the good news is that we've got an incredible management team and the staff that we have there is pretty amazing. And Stephen is always going to be around for calls and consultations and like I said, probably coming in, but he just needs to focus on his treatment and getting better. So anyway, right now we're just gonna basically chill out and not move forward with really more due diligence or looking into things further. We're just gonna kind of hang out and focus on Stephen and being supportive for him, dealing with this issue and helping him kick cancer's ass. And so that is what the goal is, but I am also gonna still be looking because if I see a place, it's really kind of hard to find one. So if I see one that's really cool, I may end up buying it and just hanging on, maybe. Possibly, probably. What is for sure is that I'm going to answer some of your business questions right now. The first business question is one that I love. It's from Samuel Diaz. He says, I've heard both sides about using debt or not to get ahead. I'm going back and forth. Do you think debt can be used to help you get ahead in personal finance and business, or do you think a Dave Ramsey style is best where you have no payments at all, car, house, office space, etc., and pay for everything in cash? Love you, man. Thanks for all that you have done. Happy Thanksgiving. So happy Thanksgiving to you, my friend, and all of you. Both is the answer. There is no right answer, but I know that there are a tons of people, right, that use debt in order to buy a lot of stuff. Grant Cardone, all these guys that are buying real estate and things like that, they have a ton of debt. and they use the debt in order to basically, they're basically using the bank's money to buy assets, and then they're taking their cash and putting down payments and buying other ones, and then they're refinancing it. So they've got a ton of debt. But the idea is that it's going to be beneficial for whatever reason, depending on your method, depending on your strategy. If it's apartment buildings, if it's rental units, like whatever, that's definitely cool, right? Business, another thing. If you have to go into debt to start a business that's going to potentially generate you a lot of cash, that's also another great investment. Now, for me, I feel and sleep better at night when I don't have debt, because I was so saddled with debt and worried about money and how I was going to pay my bills my entire life until I had $5,000 in the bank. I've always been super hyper aware of debt and not wanting it, because there is nothing worse than having those high interest credit card payments or bills that you just can't pay. In my opinion, when you've got a lot of debt on like high interest like credit cards and stuff like that, it's tough, right? It's tough because you're kind of at a position of weakness, in my opinion. But when you don't have any debt, you don't owe anybody anything, you're like, yo, I'm cool. The other upside is that you can always refinance things. So if you pay for things in cash and you happen to need money, you can always go to a bank and be like, hey, can I get a home equity line of credit on this, or refinance your car, whatever. You can always do that. And so that's just one thing that I think about. The other thing that I think about is, it really, with the interest rates right now, that's the other thing you have to think about, right? With the interest rates going like up, you're going to be paying more to borrow money, right? So that's not necessarily a good thing. And so now the decision whether or not to buy things on credit or pay cash is getting a little bit tougher, right? Because it used to be, hey, if you can borrow money at like 2% or 3%, borrow that, because you can use your cash to make 5%, 6%, right? There's a delta that you're going to be making on top of what you're paying. So in that case, it makes sense to use somebody else's money, pay their interest, and then use your money to invest it to make more interest, and you're coming out ahead. But now with interest rates, right, it's kind of like almost becoming a wash, because there aren't that many things that you're going to be able to invest your money in that's going to pay you 5%, 6%, right? And you're already paying that money on your debt, right? In terms of the interest rate. And so it's like, what are you going to do? Are you going to make somebody else rich, or are you just going to pay it off and save the debt or the interest that you would be paying? Now, it's up to you. There is no right or wrong answer. It's just something that really boils down to your personal feeling. But if there's an opportunity that you have, like a business or something that requires you to borrow some money, of course, right? Do it if it makes sense and if it's smart. But you've just got to do what's right for you. There is no right answer or wrong answer. It's really like personal taste and comfort, and also what you're trying to do. Grant Cardone and these other like real estate guys, they could never, use their cash in order to buy and fund their buildings or whatever they're buying 100% in cash. They wouldn't be able to grow and scale the way they are doing it right now. And so it would take them longer, and they're also tying up all that cash. And when the big thing you hear is like opportunity cost. What is the opportunity cost for that money? If there is some, then use that money for something else. If there isn't some, then I think paying down your debt and having no debt is solid. The next business question comes from our friend Paras S. He says, basically, have I ever thought of running for local politics? The answer is I've thought about it, but the more I think about it, the more I think I'd be an idiot to do it. And so the answer at this point is no. The next business question comes from our friend Law. He says, hey, Aaron, do you think the name of the Stubble Buddy and the way that you market it / advertised it to the public wasn't good enough? I feel like you created a cash cow. The Stubble Buddy is a cool name and product. What do you think is the reason why it's not selling? Have a blessed day. Thanks, brother. Yes, you are correct. I did not market it well enough. I don't know how I should have marketed it, but I didn't do a good job, because I also thought when I started it that it was definitely like that cash cow product. I thought the name was perfect. I thought the application was great, but it just didn't work out. Whichever way I tried, it just didn't really move the needle. But that's kind of the answer. You are correct. I did not do a good job there, but it is a great name and a great product. Anyway, the last business question comes from our friend King Harathanza. Sorry for butchering that, brother. Hope you're doing well. He says, hey, Alpha Sir, after so many years of watching this is my first business question. I'm 19 years old who have 5 business plans. That's a lot. Congratulations. My first plan is to open 2 different supermarkets under different names. What are your thoughts, sir? Also, I'd like to meet you in person when I come there. Okay, I'd like to meet you too, King. I need more information. More information about the supermarket thing. I don't know what you're trying to sell. I know like groceries and stuff, but like what's the difference? Why 2 different names? That doesn't make sense to me. My thing was, okay, open one, see if it works, and then maybe open another one, because like having multiple locations, like a grocery store, all grocery stores pretty much do, I think is a way to kind of like scale it. You get name recognition, people see them and all that good stuff. But I do know that grocery and anything that has perishable anything is a tough market. And so it's also going to require you to have a lot of startup cash. And so I would be interested and curious to see some of the other business ideas you have, because maybe there's one that's a little bit easier and the point of like entry is a little bit less in terms of money and capital to outlay, that will allow you to kind of try a business as opposed to like opening up like 2 grocery stores, because grocery stores are typically big, they are expensive, the rent generally is really expensive because they need to be in a decent location in order to have visibility and to get customers. And so I think a grocery store is awesome if that's your passion and your dream, but do you have something else I could look at? Or could I have more information as to why your grocery stores are going to be awesome and better than everybody else's? Gentlemen, speaking of awesome, you are amazing. That's where I'm going to wrap things up. If you have a business-related question, down below, start with business question and ask it. And also, make sure that you have a happy Thanksgiving and eat lots of turkey if you like turkey. Actually, I'm not a huge turkey fan. Bye.